Hello, my name is Tabitha Tripp. I'm the owner of Tender Hearts Home Health Care, and I want to welcome you to Navigating the Way for Seniors. My guest today is Kim Ferreira. She's a registered dietitian with Coastline Elderly. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Tabitha.
Real excited about this show today.
I know,
because we're doing the show on brain health.
Yes.
And we all know that good nutrition is excellent for overall body health. And today we're going to talk about nutrition and how it influences the brain and how a lack of certain nutrients can actually lead to impaired cognitive problems. So right off the bat, let's just get right into this. What is the big buzz about nutrition and brain health?
Well, there's been a lot of great studies recently that have really indicated that it's important for what we eat and how that relates to our brain, especially as we age. Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause of death, believe it or not. And it's really important as we age, that risk goes up. 1 in 8 people 65 and older have Alzheimer's, which is the most common form of dementia. 85 years and older, that goes up to 50%. 1 in every 2 people have Alzheimer's when they're 85 and older. So it's a huge, huge concern. About 5 million people have Alzheimer's, and they've seen a big increase. The deaths related to Alzheimer's has gone up over 60% in the last 10 years. So it's kind of a big concern.
So changing one's diet can actually help with some of the memory impairment.
Absolutely, absolutely. What happens in our brain is we have over 100 billion different nerve cells and neurons that really form kind of like a network in our brain. And that allows us to do all the different things from blinking to talking to hearing to smelling to memory. What happens is if we get any type of damage or deterioration of those nerves, that network can't work together as efficiently as if it was all one piece. So that's where we get abnormal function. As it relates to health, they have found that there is a center in our temporal lobe, so on our side, deep within that lobe, called the hippocampus. And the size of that, they have been able to find, relates to our risk for Alzheimer's. And there are things that we can do, which we'll get into later, that helps to increase that size to keep our brain healthy.
So what are some of the foods? I mean, there's so many medications on the market now for Alzheimer's, but what are some of the foods and some of the steps that somebody can take?
When it comes with food, a big focus is on that inflammation. When we have chronic inflammation, especially with diabetes and obesity, you're actually in a state of chronic inflammation. And over time, that can actually kill the brain cells. So that's where we're getting into what are foods that we can eat that actually help with that inflammation. It helps to keep those cells healthy. The first one, believe it or not, I'm sure you're gonna, not be shocked, is fruit and vegetables. Antioxidants and phytonutrients are huge in keeping those brain cells healthy, keeping our body not susceptible to that inflammation. It also helps to alleviate and decline some of that mental loss that we may get. In terms of fruits and vegetables, what are kind of at the top of the list? The first one is kale.
So it's true, we eat our colors, right?
Absolutely. When you sit down, your plate should be filled with different colors. In terms of vegetables, they have found those dark green leafy vegetables, that food group is really important, and they contain such concentrated amounts of nutrients. So we have kale, spinach, Brussels sprouts, beet greens, cauliflower. That whole group of vegetables they have found have been even extra important in keeping our brains healthy.
So that falls into the dark green vegetable category.
Those leafy, yep. In terms of fruits, blueberries. Blueberries have been on the top of lists for a few years now, and it's that dark purple color. That dark color contains such rich antioxidants and phytonutrients that they have found really links to keeping our brains healthy.
So besides blueberries, what are some of the top contender for fruits that we should be eating?
The berries tend to be the top of the litter.
Strawberries, raspberries.
Exactly. Any kind of berry, they contain that really dark, rich color. And what's also nice is per serving, they have a lower amount of sugar, which again helps to control those blood sugars and helps to control diabetes.
So things like apples and oranges are good for our body, but as far as brain health goes, we want to stay with the berries.
Exactly. I mean, fruits and vegetables all contain a great amount of vitamins and minerals. If you're saying, does one have a little bit more of a punch over the other? Yes. You know, the berries do, I guess, have a little bit more of a punch for brain health.
More bang for your buck.
Exactly,
so to speak.
exactly. But another group of foods that have similar anti-inflammatory effects are spices.
Okay.
Two very common ones that they have found when they've been incorporated into cooking is turmeric and I almost said cumin. It's curry.
Okay.
Curry and turmeric are two really, really potent spices. You have that really, really rich yellow color. And that color in itself, they have shown, has been huge for antioxidants, anti-inflammatory. Parts of the world, you know, in India, a lot of Thai cooking uses these types of spices. They have lower amounts of Alzheimer's.
When we think of spices, we think of adding it to our food mostly for flavor.
Right.
We don't think of adding spices to our food for health benefits for the brain.
Oh, absolutely. You know, even cinnamon. Cinnamon has anti-inflammatory effects, and cinnamon is a great replacement for sugar. So if you're
So how much, all right, let's back up for a second here. So we're adding spices to our foods and our recipes for health benefits.
Yeah.
How much does one need, like say of
turmeric.
turmeric, can't say this is a toughie, turmeric, or how much on cinnamon? How much does one need a day in order to have a health benefit from this?
That's a tough question. It's really difficult when you know, you're seeing research come up that says, hey, these have healthful effects. It's difficult to then relay that and say, okay, this is the exact amount you need. I've seen a teaspoon. Whether or not that is absolute what we need, I think the research is still trying to come up with how do we put this into practical purposes so that we can see it. But in terms of these spices, find ways to incorporate it. Sprinkle a little bit of these in your soups, in your casseroles, in your eggs.
On your oatmeal.
On your
I
oatmeal.
love cinnamon on my oatmeal.
Exactly. If you like something sweet, before you grab that big, huge bin of sugar, throw on some cinnamon in your yogurt. Instead of, you know, adding sugar to sweeten it, add cinnamon.
Question.
Yes.
We all hear about the Mediterranean diet. I would like to know a little bit more about it and how to tweak it, I guess, because I know they're really big on olives and things of that nature over there, you know, and that's kind of what scares me about the Mediterranean diet because I can't stand olives. But I know the benefits are supposed to be huge if you stick to, and it's not just a diet per se, is it? It's more of an incorporated lifestyle when you think of the Mediterranean diet.
Exactly. The Mediterranean diet has been around forever.
For years.
Exactly. Recently, you've been hearing it a lot because of heart health effects. Well, believe it or not, it relates to brain health. They're really finding a lot of links between heart health and brain health. So it's not shocking to me that the Mediterranean style of eating comes up, and they've been able to find that people who follow that type of eating, you know, have slower mental decline, believe it or not, and a lower risk for Alzheimer's. What the Mediterranean diet essentially comprises of is a lot more plant foods, a lot more plant fats. So that's where you see the avocados, the olives, olive oil, a lot more fish. They eat a lot more fish. They tone down the amount of animal products.
I was just going to say that. They don't eat the meat like we do.
Exactly. So their ratio is fish is more 2 to 4 times a week. Meat is, you know, 1 to 2 times a week. And then they incorporate things like olive oils. You know, they have a lot of nuts. Again, that nice plant fat.
Now, where does chicken or pork fall into that? Does that fall into the meat category?
That does follow into the meat category.
So they shy away from that also.
Yes.
Here, we say chicken and pork, you know, are the best things to eat. Stay away from the beef. But in the Mediterranean diet, it's
that's all in that category. And it's not that it's bad for us, not at all. You know, red meat and poultry and pork have a role. The problem is that we're eating it very frequently, and the portion size is just, it's too much. It's so beyond what we need. Chicken, are you frying it? Are you deep frying it? Are you eating that skin? Pork and red meat, what type of cut? That cut in itself can be a huge difference in terms of the amount of fat that we're getting.
So it's just so much safer to stick with fish.
Fish has anti-inflammatory properties. Meat has more pro-inflammatory properties. Okay. So we're seeing that kind of shift in.
Plus with the seafood too, you're getting omega-3?
Exactly. That's that anti-inflammatory effect is your omega-3. You know, something like a packet of salmon. This costs $1.25 in the store. So for people who may not be able to afford fish all the time or be able to get to a fresh market, you can include packets like this. You know, and it gives you it's about 3 ounces, which is adequate for us. You know, you can buy a couple of these and sprinkle on
a salad.
On your salad. Add your turmeric to it to color it up.
And you're getting it all. And the other thing too is always to read the back label, right? I think we're becoming more conscious of doing that these days. And
absolutely.
You're seeing exactly what you're getting in all of this as far as that goes.
And you know, canned fish can be a great and affordable way to get those omega-3s in if you know your budget is really the key factor in why you're not doing it.
This is nice too. It has a nice little recipe for bruschetta on the back of here. I'll have to take this one home with me. Let's talk a little bit about exercise. We know that mental stimulation is good for the brain.
Absolutely.
Do we also think about exercise as being good for the brain also?
Absolutely. Exercise has been shown to be extremely helpful for the brain. They have found in recent studies that exercise actually helps to increase that hippocampus, that area I was just talking about a couple minutes ago. It's helped to increase the size of that. Shrinkage of it is giving us a higher risk for, you know, neurodegenerative diseases. Increasing that size is important for keeping our brain healthy and strong, and exercise has been shown to do that. Exercise has been shown to really protect that brain tissue and really to help to keep it strong so that it's less susceptible to stress, chronic inflammation. And, you know, a lot of their studies are just on walking, meditation, simple exercises, not running a marathon or doing these triathlons. Simply walking has been shown to really, really be beneficial for our brains.
And how is that though? I don't really understand how it affects the brain, I guess.
Well, we're getting more oxygen to the brain.
Okay.
You know, exercise helps to stimulate the brain. Exercise helps to keep those endorphins up and happy. So
it's more of a mood.
Absolutely. I mean, exercise helps to, again, keep our heart strong. It keeps, again, the circulation going, so it helps against heart disease and blood pressure. So it really, you know, it covers the whole picture of overall health.
Okay. How much exercise?
Well, in some of the studies that I've seen, they've done as little as about 40 minutes 3 times a week, so about 120 minutes a week. There was some other studies that said people found the same effects just by meditating 30 minutes a day. Spend 30 minutes being in a restful state, deep breathing, relaxing. Many of us are very stressed. Stress encompasses some aspect of our life, whether it's work or children or money or job. So meditation.
So that can be kind of like a brain yoga.
Exactly.
You know, when you think of exercise, you think of, you know, heavy aerobics or something that's, you know, really going to pump up your cardiovascular, right?
Right.
But then you have the Pilates and the yoga, which is more of a serene, quiet down.
Absolutely.
So when you think about meditating in a room, it's kind of like brain yoga.
Absolutely.
Just being calm.
That deep breathing, the breathing itself creates that relaxation. And, you know, that is important for brain health.
Right. And that's really important. Yes, like you said, that deep breathing of in through the nose and out through the mouth.
Absolutely.
And that helps with the oxygen level in your brain also.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and keeping that brain stimulated. You know, doing the crossword puzzles, doing something with your other hand. instead of brushing your teeth with your right. It creates your body to have to think in that different way. If you're mostly right-handed, use your left-handed for things. Those are very easy things that you can do to try to keep your mind sharp, along with socializing. We have to be social. We have to have that social engagement, exercise, keeping our weight in check. That's extremely important. Like I said, when we're overweight and when we carry extra weight, that just makes us more prone to have oxidative stress, which damages those brain cells. Same with diabetes.
So when we think about all of the foods, well, we didn't talk about nuts and eggs over here. I know we got a couple more little things that we need to kind of hit on before ending our show. Yeah. And we all know that nuts are fantastic for your body. How are nuts good for your brain?
Well, some other vitamins and minerals that have been shown to be helpful are your vitamin B, your vitamin E, and vitamin D. So vitamin D we primarily get from our dairy group, but we can also get it from boned fish, so like sardines. We can also get it from a little bit in like almonds or fortified items. Vitamin E, one of the small, I shouldn't say small, but there are not just a huge source of vitamin E, but nuts are a great source of vitamin E. Walnuts in particular have a great source of vitamin E and a great source of omega-3, so you're kind of getting both of those.
Okay. What is the amount on, because they are full of fat also, so you really have to watch the amount that you're eating. So you can't just sit there and pick on it like it was popcorn.
Yeah, 1/4 of a cup is a serving, which for walnuts
a daily serving.
A daily serving. That's about an ounce. Walnuts for 1/4 of a cup, that's not many. So it really is good to just take that measuring cup just to put it in your hand, because my idea of a handful may be a lot bigger than 1/4 of a cup. So nuts are great, but we really have to watch the portion.
Right.
Eggs,
are there some nuts that are better than others?
They all are. They all have great, amount of vitamin E in it.
Seems like everybody talks about walnuts and almonds versus a peanut or a cashew.
They do. Peanut isn't technically, what is it? It's technically a legume, not a nut.
Okay.
Cashews may have a little bit more carbohydrates versus the almonds and the walnuts. With the walnuts, again, you're getting that omega-3 that a lot of us just aren't getting enough of. And almonds, you're getting a little bit extra calcium in there. Not a huge source, but it's at least a non-dairy source. Right. Before we forget eggs. Eggs contain a mineral called choline, just in the yolks, believe it or not. And that has really been shown to be very important for brain health as well. We have to be careful with eggs, though, because the yolk is where all the cholesterol is.
Exactly.
So we can't start shoving eggs down our throat, but they say about 5 to 7 eggs a week. So up to 1 egg yolk a day is beneficial without really hindering our cholesterol.
How many eggs a day? And this is including the yolk.
I'm saying 1 egg yolk because the egg white is just the protein.
Okay. So you can have as much egg whites as you want.
Really, because there's no fat. It's just all protein.
No cholesterol.
No cholesterol.
Right. Okay.
1 egg has about 290 milligrams of cholesterol. And the current recommendation now is less than 200. So 1 egg yolk, you're already up to the limit that you need in a day. So that's why it's important to, make sure you're not eating 2 or 3 eggs every day.
Right. So you make a nice big omelet with egg whites and 1 full egg.
Absolutely. Throw in some kale, maybe some spinach. Toss in a little bit of turmeric and curry, and you have a wonderful brain-healthy breakfast. Maybe you throw in some yogurt for vitamin D, sprinkle some walnuts and some blueberries, and you're good to go.
Okay, we're going to wrap things up, but before the show, we were talking about kale, and we were talking about what do you do with kale other than kale soup? And you came up with a wonderful recipe. And in our last couple of minutes here, can you just kind of share a quick recipe for kale?
Yeah, a lot of us do kale hot in a soup. Recently, I found a recipe. I don't remember the website, I'm sorry. But you chop up kale, I have the curly kale right here. It's a little bit thinner than some of the other kale, can be a lot more tough. You chop it up real fine. You toss in some crumbled feta cheese for a little bit of saltiness. And then in a bowl, you just whisk together some lemon juice, olive oil, a little bit of pepper, and you may not even really need the salt. You whisk that together and toss it into a kale feta salad. It's excellent. Excellent.
That sounds like another great way to use kale.
Absolutely. It's a nice way to have it raw. A lot of people don't think of using it raw.
Right,
and
exactly.
It's just as tasty.
I never know what to do with kale.
You just have to chop it up really fine.
I use my mother's old-fashioned recipe for kale soup, and I'm Scandinavian, but she made a mean kale soup. But I remember her, she'd fill the sink with water, and because of the curly kale, when you buy it fresh like that, you want to make sure that it doesn't have the bugs in it. So she used to soak it in the water, and I had good memories as a child. And
anytime you think of what you would put spinach in, consider using kale. It just needs a little bit longer to cook or saute.
Right.
Yep, it's a good brain healthy vegetable to include.
There you go. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. Just at the back of your screen, you will see all the information to get in touch with Kim if you have any other questions or if you want that recipe. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks.